Good Tuesday morning, everybody. Welcome to my NFL Week 5 recap. Selling Mason Sapesky, your host here. And on today's episode, we will be recapping all of the action from the NFL Week 5 slate of games. Definitely an interesting week, that's for sure. I didn't follow it too much or watch too many games because I was at the Steelers game Sunday. Very good time. We had a great time, so all's good there. So yeah, we're not going to recap that game, though, because I already did that on my Steelers game day post-game, so that is up if you would like to take a view at it real quick. But yeah, definitely awesome times to be alive, for sure. Interesting. So let's get right into this here, because my time, obviously, as I say, my time's valuable, and I have schoolwork to do and stuff, so we're going to get right into this. I'm going to try to make this video as quick and as convenient and easy as possible, so that's good for you guys, so won't be too much time watching me today for you guys. Anyway, though, the Chicago Bears starting off on Thursday night. And by the way, too, rest in peace to Dick Butkus. Very sad to see him pass away, but he's in a better place now. And he provided the Bears a spark win as he entered heaven, as the Bears defeated the Washington Commanders 40-20 on Thursday night, right after he passed. So this was a huge win for the Bears. Likely it saved Matt Eberflus's job, for now at least, the head coach. Justin Fields had a huge night. DJ Moore, you're the man. 3 touchdowns. Great week for DJ. So yeah, that was very impressive to see him go off. Cole Kmet did really good. The run game looked good. This team looked really good. Granted, they were playing the Commanders, who we'll get to in a minute, but this Bears team showed it could be an explosive offense and that it does have potential. I mean, just look at Justin Fields these past 2 weeks, what he has done. Annihilated Denver's defense and annihilated Washington's defense. Now, granted, those are 2 not-so-good defenses, although Washington was good a couple years ago, but they're not very good now. Granted, those are not good defenses, but still, you got to give credit where credit's due, and Justin Fields has had a monster 2 weeks. It'll be interesting to see what he can do against the Brian Flores-led Vikings defense this Sunday. Big win, good win, Bears. As for the Commanders, they are a weird team, to say the least. They came 3 points, and this is just the NFL in general, though, now. Pittsburgh does this, too, sometimes, but it's not this bad. Sorry to burp, but Pittsburgh does this, too. Like I just said, Pittsburgh does this, too, but it's not that bad. But the Commanders, you guys lost by 3 points to the Philadelphia Eagles, the defending NFC champions, and one of only 2 unbeaten remaining teams in the league. You guys only lost by 3 points to them on their home field. And you guys lose by 20 points to the Bears at home? This team needs a lot of work. I mean, personally, I was a big fan of Sam Howell coming out of college, but I don't think he's the answer for the Commanders. This team just has quarterback issues all around, and I think there's going to be a lot of changes there. So it'll be interesting to see what Josh Harris does, that's for sure. Now on to some Sunday games here. By the way, I didn't even watch that Thursday night game, so I don't have too much. That's why I didn't have too much to say about that Thursday night game. I never watch Thursday night games, really, because I just don't feel like logging in, and a lot of them have been very boring and just plain old blah, to say the least. Hopefully the NFL here soon does a better job scheduling Thursday night games. And to be honest, I probably won't watch a single Thursday night football game until the Steelers Week 9. So yeah. And plus the streaming stuff throws everybody off guard too. So it's cool in its own way for the companies and all that, but it really isn't my biggest favorite. But yeah. Jaguars defeated the Buffalo Bills 25-20 in London this past weekend. Second international game of the year, played in London this week. Yeah, it was definitely an interesting game, that's for sure. Jacksonville looked very good. They put that loss to the Texans to the side, and they just went into London and demolished the Bills. Like I said, though, I could see this. I think I was the one who said I can see this game going either way, really, because of the travel. Jacksonville was over there for a week. Jacksonville knew the system and all that. Buffalo had to travel. They had that long flight Thursday night or whenever. It was hard for them to get acclimated and all that. That's why Jacksonville is so good over in London. They're acclimated to it, and they have that advantage. So that's why I think Jacksonville won this game. And also, too, they were the better team. This Jacksonville roster is good. And if you look at their upcoming schedule, it's Indianapolis, at New Orleans, at Pittsburgh. Then you have the bye. Then after the bye, it gets a little dicey because they have San Francisco at home, which that'll be a tough one. We'll get to them later. But then you got Tennessee. And then you got, who do they play with? I think it's at Houston. Then you got Cincinnati. So this schedule is not horrible. I can easily see 4-2 when they come into Pittsburgh, week 8. Or no, I'm sorry, 5-2. My mistake, 5-2. At worst, 4-3. Because the Colts never beat the Jaguars in Jacksonville. And I highly doubt that starts now. Sorry if that spoiled that prediction, but I don't think that starts now. This Jacksonville team is very good. I told you they would be very good. They just needed time to click. Now they're going to click. Now they're going to have momentum. So look out for them. As for Buffalo, this was just a bad game. You're going to have those in the NFL. They're perfectly normal. It's perfectly okay. So yeah, just put it to the side and shrug it off. But everything's fine in Buffalo. It's just one bad game, like I said. Moving on now, the Atlanta Falcons walked off the Houston Texans 21-19 with a field goal to win the game. Younghoe Koo, I think that's how I pronounce it. Sorry if I missed that, Mr. Koo, but walks it off with a field goal. Wow, this game was interesting. I have a couple takeaways from this one. Takeaway number 1, the Falcons might be a factor this year. Next week at home, they got the Commanders. Then, where do they head after that? Sorry, I know some team schedules, but I don't know every team's. Then they head to Tampa, which that'll be a toughie. But yeah, this team has the schedule that they could just dominate if they can get things to click. They're really good at home. They're going to have some home tests. I know this one, December 10th, Tampa Bay comes in. That's going to be a tough test at home. November the 5th, Minnesota Vikings come in. That's going to be a tough test. That's at home. Maybe Christmas Eve when they host the Colts. That might be tough. But other than that, this team has a schedule where they can just win games. I mean, if they can win 2 or 3 games on the road, this team could easily sneak in at 9-8. So keep an eye out for them. They're going to be a factor this year, that's for sure. As for the Texans, good things take time. And it stinks the way Pittsburgh played against the Texans. But this team's not that bad. And C.J. Stroud, he's the real deal. He might have just had a bad week, but he's still the real deal, and for sure. So keep an eye out for C.J. Keep an eye out for Will Anderson. D'Amico Ryans has this team trending in the right direction. So, yeah, keep an eye out for them. That's for sure. The Lions beat the Panthers 42-24. Panthers are the league's only winless team, which is super unfortunate because I expected them to do well, and I really thought this would be their year. Couple takeaways from this one. Takeaway number 1 is I'm shocked. I'm shocked, but I'm not shocked. I'm shocked because the Panthers are 0-5. I'm not shocked that they're not very good. They should be at least 1-4 or 2-3. Look, this is a team that went out this offseason, hired Frank Reich to be the head coach, who is a good head coach, took the Colts to the playoffs a couple times, and he has potential. Hired an all-star OC in Thomas Brown. Hired an all-star defensive coordinator in Ejiro Evero, I think that's how I pronounce it. Has his all-star coaching staff, Josh McCown, D'Angelo Hall, Deuce Staley, so many others. Signs Miles Sanders, Adam Thielen, DJ Chark, think Hayden Hurst, he signed a tight end too. I think it's Hayden Hurst. Trades up a lot, sacrifices a lot for the number 1 pick overall in the draft to draft a quarterback who has struggled tremendously. And I was reading something that said a lot of these struggles that Bryce Young is having are similar to those of Peyton Manning and Troy Aikman. Look, Bryce Young shows signs of progress. He's going to be a good quarterback in this league eventually. Joe Burrow wasn't perfect either his first 5 games. Let's look at Joe Burrow's rookie season. And Patrick Mahomes wasn't like this elite quarterback. Patrick Mahomes didn't even start his rookie season. So put it at that. But let's look up while we're at it. These stats, because I think it's important. 2020, NFL career statistics. Played 10 games, 264 completions, 404 attempts, 65.3% completion percentage, 2,688 yards, passer rating 89.8. Let's look at Bryce Young. Bengals, I think, only won 1 game in Burrow's first 5. So it's not that far off. So, Bryce Young has 63.9% passing percentage. Not far off Joe Burrow. 77 passer rating. 12 points below Burrow. So these two are not that, it's not like they're that far off. Bryce Young has potential. I'm not saying the trade was bad. He just needs a star wide receiver around him. Look what Joe Burrow did once he got Jamar Chase. Look at Josh Allen, what he did when he got Stephon Diggs. They went off. And it's a shame that Carolina does not have their first 2 picks in the draft this year. Because if they would have done this last year, would have tanked and got number 1 overall, would have drafted Young, wouldn't have had to give up anything, would have got a top 5 draft pick this year, they could have had the rights to Marvin Harrison Jr. That's for sure. But now they're not because of that mistake. Signing a big free agent wide receiver is not going to make a difference either for them. They need to draft somebody, and they're not going to have the capital this year to do it. So Carolina needs to find a top receiver, and then Bryce Young will prosper. You could always pair him up with a Jermaine Burton or somebody he knew from college. But they might not be top tier. I like Jermaine Burton a lot. I don't know if he's a top tier receiver. My favorite receiver so far from this draft class, there's 2 of them. Obviously, number 1's Marvin Harrison Jr., but I also love Malik Neighbors, kid out of LSU. So it'll be interesting, that's for sure. But Carolina has a long road ahead of them. That's my take. As for these Detroit Lions, they're impressive, man. The division is not very good around them, so they should easily cakewalk to a division title. And at this point, they just need to really just focus on winning these next 4 or 5 games, building that division lead up very strongly, hoping the other teams around them lose. And then if you win 4 or 5 more games, once you win 4 or 5 more games, start to focus on Philly and San Francisco. How you can overtake them and better your playoff positioning. Because to get a good wild card game and even a home game for the NFC divisional round, which is what they want, I'm sure, they're going to have to overtake one of those 2 teams. And that's a tough thing to ask. Who knows what will happen? San Francisco, Philly on December the 3rd. Somebody's going to lose that game. So one of these teams is going to lose at least 1 game. However, I think one of these teams is going to start losing before that. I just read an article today saying that the Lions might be better than these 49ers. I don't believe that. I don't think anybody's better right now in the NFL than these 49ers. It's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens. You cannot count these Lions out, though. They're very good. So it'll be interesting, to say the least. A little nerve-wracking, too, because I'm a Lions fan as well. Moving on now to this next one, we got the Colts defeating the Titans, 23-16. Wow, this was a big win for Indy. Sorry if the burp. Indy never really beats the Titans at home. That was a shocker to me. Indy's for real. As you could probably tell, as always, I am very tired in these videos. I'm going to even be more so tired today because last night was a horrible, horrible, horrible sleep for me. I'm not going to get into it because I want to talk about football. So, back to football. Shane Steichen's the real deal for the Colts. Very good offensive mind, and he's the reason why they're 3-2. Anthony Richardson is very good. He has made it work. This goes to him and Stroud. I wasn't a big fan of either of them in this draft process. They have both done amazing in the pros. When they were drafted, where they were drafted, I was so petrified. And here's why. Because I knew I would be wrong because of the systems. C.J. Stroud and Anthony Richardson are in systems that benefit the quarterback, that work for the quarterback, and that make the quarterback look good. Systems that every team should try to occupy. And I'll get into this more later when I talk about Brock Purdy with the Niners. But every team needs to find a quarterback-friendly system. One team, though, that has quarterback issues, I believe, right now are the Tennessee Titans. After this loss, they fell to 2-3. Not a very good day for the Titans, or Titans fans alike. So they need a lot of work, and they have a tough game across the pond this week. So keep an eye out on that, that's for sure. But it's going to be a rough season in Nashville, I think. Dolphins beat the Giants 31-16. And look, I have a lot of takes on this game. The first take is this. Let's flashback. Let's take a trip down memory lane. I just want to check the time, see where we're at. Sorry about that. But let's take a trip down memory lane. 2 weeks ago, the Denver Broncos got annihilated by the Miami Dolphins, losing 70-20. The Miami Dolphins, or the Denver Broncos, are now 1-4. The Miami Dolphins beat the New York Giants, who are now also 1-4, 31-16. And we'll talk about Denver in a couple minutes, actually, but I have a long talk about Denver, to be honest, but anyway, my point is, this Giants team might be 1-4, but this Giants team is not as bad as people think. They've had a tough schedule. Dallas, at Arizona, at San Francisco, Seattle, at Miami. This team's not going to make the playoffs this year, but they might have a strong second half to get themselves 6-11, 7-10. So don't count this team out. It's their schedule. That's my opinion. Good. As for Miami, they should have won this game by more, I believe. Their defense could have probably played a teeny bit better. They did play good. Gave me 15 fantasy points, but that not being the point, but could have done a little bit better. The offense could have done much better, I believe. So, yeah. But a win's a win. You're 4-1. You're leading the East. You're probably the favorites at this point to win the AFC East. It's now on to Carolina at home, which should be another cakewalk. And now this is the last 1 o'clock game we're going to get to because Ravens-Steelers we did on my post-game show. But this is definitely the most interesting and discussed 1 o'clock game. And it's why I wore the jersey I wore today. Because I knew I wanted to talk a little bit more about this game. But not so much the team that I'm wearing the jersey of. The New Orleans Saints, go Saints, defeated the New England Patriots by a final score of 34-0. We're going to start off with the Saints because they're the easier team to discuss. The Saints offense is not the best, obviously, but it's certainly not bad. It's competitive. Derek Carr's competitive. Chris Olave's the real deal. He's going to break out here soon. You just watch. And this team is good. This defense is very good. So keep an eye out on New Orleans. They're going to be a factor. It's going to be a competitive NFC South for sure. And New Orleans is right in the middle of it. So, yeah, just keep your heads up, New Orleans fans. You're going to have a great year. So, on to Houston for you guys. But good win. Now, obviously, the one thing, I've read a lot about this the past 48 hours. I watched movies about this, or not movies, videos about this. And I actually fell asleep watching a video about this last night. That's why I'm so chaotic today and tired. So my sleep last night wasn't the best because I fell asleep watching that video. So yeah, that's it. But what's going on with the Patriots? That's what I've been reading about. That's been what I've been watching videos about. And now it's going to be my turn to discuss what is going on with the Patriots. They've gone outscored 72-3 the past 2 weeks. That's almost like college football scores. This team is bad. Newspapers and stuff have said they've hit rock bottom. They probably have. And don't get me wrong, I am not trying to harass Patriots fans when I say this, but you guys have been spoiled the past 20 years. This is not normal for you guys. And I understand your frustrations 100%. However, after reading everything I read yesterday, after watching all the videos and stuff I watched yesterday, guess who's most at fault of this? One person. Bill Belichick. The past 2 drafts for Bill Belichick have been atrocious, to say the least. Look at them. Let's look at the 2022 New England Patriots. Actually, let's go back to the 2021 New England Patriots draft. Because this is when... Or actually, we're going to go back to 2020. All the way back to 2020. Because that's when Brady left. That's when all their issues started. When Tom left. He's what made New England, not Belichick. Draft. Okay, let's look at the 2020 NFL Draft. New England. They traded back. Didn't even have a first-round pick. Their first pick was pick 37. Drafted Kyle Duggar. Good pick. 60th. Josh Uche, Michigan. Not a bad pick. 87th. Anna Fereni Jennings. Who is that? 91st overall. Devin Assisi. He's not even with that team anymore, I don't think. He's with the Bengals. Oh, no, the Browns. That's it, the Browns. I'm sorry. Don Keene. Not even with the team. Justin, 159th overall pick. Keene was 101, by the way. 159th overall. Justin Rohrwasser. Not even in the NFL anymore. 182 second overall. Michael Onwenu, guard of Michigan. Who is that? 200, and I'm sorry to harass these people. They're good football players. It's just they weren't cut out for the NFL. I'm sorry. 195th overall. Justin Herron out of Wake Forest. He's with the Raiders now. 204th overall. Cass Malawi out of Wyoming, a linebacker. Who is that? And then 230th overall, Justin Woodard, center out of Memphis. Yeah. So one good pick out of that draft. One. Kyle Duggar. '21 NFL draft. And this one's actually not bad. 15th overall, Mac Jones, quarterback, Alabama. they picked him because he was the best quarterback available, the only real quarterback available, because Lawrence was in Jacksonville at that point. Wilson was the Jets, who stinks, and I told you he would stink. Lance, San Francisco. Fields, Chicago. Jones, New England. That wasn't a bad pick early, but now it's a horrible pick, I think. 38th overall, Christian Barmore, defensive tackle, Alabama. That was a good pick. That was actually good. They forfeited a selection. I'm guessing it was a cheating scandal. I don't know. 96th overall, Ronnie Perkins, DE, Oklahoma. He's with Denver now. 120th overall pick, Ramondre Stevenson, running back, Oklahoma. That was a good one. Really good one. 177th overall pick, Cameron McGrone, linebacker, Michigan. Who is that? 188th overall pick, Joshua Bledsoe, safety, Missouri. He's with New England still, but I don't even know who that is. 197th overall, William Sermon, tackle, Colorado. Again, I don't know this person. 242nd overall, Trey Dixon, wide receiver, UCF. Still with the Patriots, but again, I don't even know who you are. I can't really judge these people because I don't know who they are. But it's confusing, to say the least. 2022 now. '29th overall, Cole Strange, guard, Chattanooga. He's obviously a starter, and he's doing okay, but what? That was a... Seriously? Out of all the people we could pick, to pick him? Really? Come on now. A fourth round... The Rams, who didn't have their first pick that year till the fourth round because of their method, their winning method. They expected him to be available for them to take in the fourth round. He was taken 29th overall. Wow. That just shows you how out of touch this draft strategy is. I mean, I think it's okay if they want to think outside the box a little bit, but a fourth round pick, 29th overall? Come on now. 50th pick, Tyquan Thornton, wide receiver, Baylor. I haven't heard his name once. I know who he is, but I haven't heard his name once for the Patriots. 85th pick, Marcus Jones, cornerback out of Houston. I've heard of him. He's done okay. 121st pick, Jack Jones, cornerback, cornerback, Arizona State. He's done good. 127th pick, Pierre Strong Jr., South Dakota State. He's with the Cleveland Browns now. He hasn't done much. Billy Zappi, 137th pick, quarterback, Western Kentucky. Should be the starter, but it's a weird pick. 183rd pick, Kevin Harris, running back out of South Carolina. He's still with them, but I have not heard his name. Where is Kevin Harris? Sam Roberts, defensive tackle, Northwest Missouri State. Haven't heard him. Tyson Hines, guard, LSU. He's with the Dolphins now. Mike McDaniel's laughing, I'm sure. And 245th overall, Andrew Stuber, guard from Michigan. And this draft is where the chaos really occurs. I scouted a grand total of 306 players, to be exact, with this year's draft. Half these picks I haven't even heard their name. I ranked them 306, or I didn't even rank them at all, because I didn't even know who they were. Let's look here. This is 2023, by the way. 17th overall, Christian Gonzalez, cornerback, Oregon. Good pick. Sucks that he's hurt, but it was a good pick. 46th overall, Keon White, defensive tackle, Georgia Tech. Not a bad pick. 76th overall, Martin Mapu, linebacker, Sacramento State. Seriously, this guy was like 303rd on my draft board, and he picked him 76th overall. 107th, Jake Andrews, center out of Troy. 306th ranked prospect. 112th pick, Chad Ryland, kicker out of Maryland. Who drafts a kicker in the fourth round? 117th overall, City So, guard, Eastern Michigan. Never, not a fan of. 144th pick, Tony Maffey, guard, UCLA. Never, not a fan of. This one's not a bad one, I didn't think. 187th overall pick, Kayson Boutte, wide receiver, LSU. He's okay. Punter, Bryce Baringer, Michigan State, 192nd overall. Why draft a punter? You could have got him in free agency. 210th overall pick, Demario Douglas. I think he was undervalued. Wide receiver out of Liberty. That was a good pick. 214th overall, Amir Speed, cornerback out of Michigan State. I scouted Michigan State pretty good. I didn't even hear this guy's name. Why are you drafting into him 214th overall? $245th overall, Isaiah Bolden, Jackson State, who I think is pretty good. Point being is this. They're drafting, and their general management philosophy from Belichick is pathetic. This is a pathetic product. This product is not 2023 football, which we all know and love. This product of football is more like 1993 football rather than 2023. They need to wise up in Foxborough and adapt with the changing times. I know I say this and think this a lot about the Steelers, but the Steelers actually look like the Chiefs with their offense compared to New England. That is how bad this offense is. I mean, seriously, Devontae Parker, Juju, Kayson Boutte. This offense is horrible. And there is a certain sense of not good about Belichick. The end is coming for him. We all know it. He just mumbled at his press conference, and I'm not going to mimic the man because he is one of the best, if not the best coach of all time. I still think Don Shula is very good, but Belichick's definitely a top 5 head coach in this league, in history. But anyway, with Belichick. What am I going to say? I'm sorry. I'm thinking Belichick. He's like always grumpy in his press conferences. And when I was reading something or watching a video yesterday, one of the people said they know former players of his who said on the plane after they won the Super Bowl on the flight home, and I can't really critique because I do this all the time too. I'm very guilty of this, and I hate it. He was already thinking about on the plane ride home from the Super Bowl, how am I going to win the next Super Bowl? That's driven. That's what made him successful, and it's what makes me successful. Not going to lie. But that's going a little too far. I mean, when I won my cross-country races, so last year, I always call them the Big Three, because they all happened within 100 days of each other. I won because our varsity team for cross-country, it was very good last year, and I barely missed the cut. I was the first JV runner, unfortunately, but I did get to go to the WPIL championship meet as an alternate, so that wasn't bad. Missed the varsity trip, not very happy about that, unfortunately, but it all comes back to me. I didn't work hard enough, so. But anyway, I was the top JV one. Last year, I won our county JV meet. 5 days later, I won our TSTCA cross-country championship meet. First place. January 1st of this year, I won my fantasy football championship. All 3 of them within 100 days of each other. Guess what I did after each one of them? I celebrated, I had a good time, and I was happy. And I lived in the moment and I partied it up. Same thing after cross-country meet. I asked a girl to homecoming. She was so happy at the finish line. She said yes. She was crying. She was so happy. Those 4 things, guess what I did? I lived in the moment. once I asked that girl to homecoming that night, I celebrated and I had a good time. I was happy for myself. I didn't think about who am I going to ask to prom, who's going to be a good prom date, who's going to be this, who's going to be that. Although I did think about someone at the homecoming, not going to lie, because, yeah. Cross country meet number 1 that I won, the county championship. It's actually a year ago on Thursday. And they're running tomorrow, so good luck, Hempfield. Hope you guys do good at the county meet. Not once did I think about, how am I going to win the next meet 5 days later? The next meet 5 days later, I win the meet. Not once am I thinking about, how am I going to win my next race, whenever that may be. And when I won my fantasy football championship, not once am I thinking about, how am I going to win next year, meaning this year. Bill Belichick has just won the Super Bowl, and he's on an airplane thinking about how he's going to win the next one instead of partying about this one. Seriously. And they were talking about that sense of arrogance. Like the arrogance and stuff, and the attitude he shows at his press conferences. And how it's stimulated with Patricia. You all remember when Matt Patricia was the head coach of the Detroit Lions, and he had that stupid moment with that reporter. Thank goodness Sheila Ham fired him. Thank goodness Quinn Trissa was over in Detroit when it was. Because now we have a great regime in. So thank goodness. Thank you, Sheila Ham, for that. Give you a round of applause. And you see with other Belichick assistants, you don't see it so much, though, with Josh McDaniels. I will say that. You don't see that arrogance that much with Josh McDaniels. He's like the only one. I liked Brian Flores a lot, but I think you see it a little bit in him, too. It's a Belichick thing. And like they said about Jerod Mayo possibly being the head coach of the Patriots next year, that whole organization needs terminated. It's dysfunctional. It needs a full, all-out rebuild. Belichick needs to retire. He's 70-some years old. It's time to move on and do other things. Most 70-year-olds, and I get it, people love their job, and it's hard to leave your job if you truly love it. It really is, and I understand 100%. But 70 years old, and the stars of the NFL now are head coaches in their 30s and 40s. 70. My take on this with the Patriots, it's time to move on from everybody. Time to ask Belichick to retire or coach elsewhere to get the wins mark. So yeah, this organization, it needs cleaned out completely. They need a new offensive mind in there to run this, rebuild this, and change the Patriots. If they rebuild all out, 24, 25, comes 26, 27, they can be competitive. So this team, it's going to be a while for them, possibly 27, 28 at the earliest, but they need to do something, and do something now, because the fans aren't going to put up with it much longer up there. That's all I have on that game. Now on to some 4 o'clock games, and we have very little to talk about with the 4 o'clock games. Only 2 of them, or 3 of them, I want to talk about significantly, the after 1 o'clock games. Bengals beat the Cardinals 34-20. I didn't watch much of this game. I watched Chiefs-Vikings a lot. So I didn't see this one much. This Bengals team's not the real deal right now. They're going to be good later on. Sorry to burp again. But, yeah, Burrow and Chase, they had a big day. That's why the team won. That's the only thing that makes this Bengals team good, are those 2 guys. If not for them, this team would be horrible. Mark my words. But anyway, they carried the Bengals to another win. Maybe this is the jumpstart for them for something good, so we'll have to wait and see what happens in Cincinnati, that's for sure, but definitely a long road ahead if they can't figure things out in Cincinnati. As for the Cardinals, though, we all expected this team to be bad, but we didn't expect them to be better than what we anticipated. And they've done that. They played well against the Bengals early on. The final score is not indicative of the effort at all. Cardinals are good. Don't worry about them. They'll be competitive probably 25-26. 2025-2026, something like that. And as for the Bengals, a lot of work's needed, but if you get a win this week, that'd be big for them. So, yeah, interesting times. Eagles are 5-0 now, defeating the Rams 23-14. This wasn't a surprise for me, obviously. The Rams hung in there for a while with Philly, and they played a good ball game. So, credit to LA for playing a good game. That's for sure. As for the Eagles, though, they're just really good. They're really loaded. They're competitive, and they're going to be around for a long, long time in this NFC. So keep an eye out for them. Love what Howie Roseman, Nick Sirianni have done in Philly, and yeah, love the QB-friendly system there too, which we'll get to in a couple of minutes. Like I said, so yeah, good win for Philly, 5-0. Partied up, guys. LA Rams 2-3. Not very good, but better than I expected for sure. So yeah, keep your head up, LA. You're not doing that bad after all. Chiefs defeat. We'll get to the Jets Broncos next, but because I want to talk about that one for a couple minutes. Same with actually after this Chiefs Vikings one, I want to talk about all three games a little bit in detail. But Chiefs defeated the Vikings 27-20. Not a surprise here. It was a one-score game, which we all knew it would be a one-score game. That's for sure. So yeah, absolutely. Chiefs look good. That's all I have to say. They look good. Obviously could have done better, but they're 4-1. They're staying in a great position to win that division, as always. So yeah, that's all I have to say about them. Looking good, and they're on the up. As for the Vikings, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah meant what he said with this being a competitive rebuild. This kind of truly is the definition of competitive rebuild. Yeah, I mean, Vikings are... The roster is nowhere near ready to be competitive, but they're staying competitive and keeping these games close. It kind of reminds me of what Detroit did in 2021. Although that was a much worse roster, they managed to stay competitive in a lot of their games. And now look where they are. So comes 2025, 2026, this Vikings team can be very good. So don't count them out. They're on the right track. They have the right leaders. It's just they need more talent, and they'll get that. They still have a high draft pick this year, so that'll help them for sure. And Kwesi did hit in the draft last year with Jordan Addison, and so he's not a bad drafter after all. So this team will be competitive again eventually. Moving on now to the Jets and the Broncos. The Jets won this game 31-21. Nathaniel Hackett, Robert Saleh, they made Sean Payton pay for his comments. Big time. That was so stupid and narcissistic of Sean Payton to make those stupid remarks to USA Today. Not the best post-game interview for him. Barely touched on it at all. Was visibly angry. But let me just say this. These 6 words. The worst coaching job in history. That's what Payton referred to Hackett as. Hackett won 4 games with Denver. Looking at the schedule this year, Payton might be lucky to win 4 games. And the Broncos were competitive in those games with Hackett. A lot of them were one-score games. They were just on the other end of a lot of one-score games. This team is bad. This team is really bad. It's not coaching. It's talent. I'm just perusing the Broncos schedule to see what winnable games they have. This week's at Kansas City. Nope. Packers at home, possibly. Chiefs at home. Nope. At the Bills. Nope. Vikings, yeah, maybe. That's a good one. Browns, I can see you winning that. Texans, I can see you winning that. Chargers, probably not. At the Lions, nope. Patriots, yeah, I can see you winning that. Chargers, yeah, I can see you winning that because it's at home. And then at the Raiders, nope. Interesting. This team might win 5-6 games. That's not much better than Nathaniel Hackett. It's the roster. It's not the coach. Russell Wilson is past his prime. They knew that when they were trading for him. John Schneider, GM of the Seahawks, looks better and better every week after that trade. The Broncos team is more than Hackett. It's not an easy job. They need to tear it down, start all over again. Same with the Patriots. Just like Detroit did, just like Philadelphia did, just like San Francisco did, just like Cincinnati did, just like Buffalo did, just like Miami did, just like any other good team in this NFL has done. It works. And it will work here. Stop trading for veterans. It's not going to work. You build for the draft. That's my take. As for the Jets, good job. Emotional win for you guys. I'm happy you guys won that game, that's for sure. I'm not a Jets fan by any means because I'm not a big Aaron Rodgers fan, but I really wanted you to win this game for Hackett because I like him a lot. Obviously, with his dad coaching at Pitt, and I always like the guy, so good to see them win that game for Hackett. That's for sure. For him to do it in Denver. So, yeah. Good win for the Jets. 2-3, not far off after all. As to this one now, we have 2 more games left to go. Cowboys and the Niners. Niners won this game by a final score of 42-10. This 49ers team is for real. This 49ers team is over the top good. Unbelievable how good this team is. For real. This team is for real. They're going to be around a long, long time in the NFC. This is truly and honestly, in my opinion, the best team in our league right now. For sure. So they looked really good. And Brock Purdy, this is what I want to say, and I'll say it real quick because I know time's getting a little itsy here and we're getting closer to where I want to stop. But that Brock Purdy was ranked low. He wasn't ranked high for a reason. Because he wasn't that as good as, say, Pickett, Willis, Ritter, Howell, and Collins. He was picked with the last pick in the draft. I like the guy. I mean, I didn't see anything bad with him. But Brock Purdy's a good quarterback for one reason. The system he's in. That Shanahan offense is one of the best offenses in the league, if not the best. It might be one of the best offenses all time. But here's the thing, and I will always remember this. During the 49ers-Cowboys wildcard game at the end of the 2021 season, 2021-2022, the announcer said, the word you can describe this 49er, I think it was Jim Nantz who said it, the word that you could use to describe this 49ers team under Kyle Shanahan is innovative. Making your team it easy for your team and hard for your opponent. And that's what every team should try to do. He summed it up perfectly. And that's what they've done. Kyle Shanahan is a great head coach. This 49ers team is headed in the right direction under him. So yeah, Brock Purdy's very good, not going to lie. But the Shanahan system has made him even better. As for Dallas, this is obviously a very humbling moment for you guys. You guys just need to retool, regroup, and come back stronger next week. Who do they play next week? Honestly, I don't even remember who Dallas plays next week. They're at the Chargers Monday night, so they should win that game. So yeah, just come back stronger next week. That's just my take for the Cowboys. So yeah, that's all for that game. On to our last game of the week now. Raiders defeating the Packers 17-13 in Vegas. Vegas, they can be sneaky. They can be real sneaky. I can't believe Pittsburgh walked out there with a win. I like what Vegas is doing. I'd say they are a sleeper team for a wild card spot. The way the schedule aligns, they could possibly be a sleeper team. They'll be better, though, than people think. And this team has talent. So, yeah, it's just their wins are probably going to be ugly wins this year, the games they do win, but this team does have potential to be a playoff team. That's for sure. Anyway, though, that's all I have for you guys today. As always, I just want to say thank you for listening. Definitely a pleasure being with you guys. I'll see you guys on Thursday for my NFL Week 6 predictions. We'll go for each team's probabilities like we do before every episode. And then we'll get into predicting some Week 6 games. Packers and Steelers are the only two teams on bye Week 6, so that'll be interesting, that's for sure. As a result, I think I said this on there, but as a result of the Steelers bye this week, there will be no Steelers game day pregame or postgame show this week, so don't be worried if you don't see that, because there is none, because there's a bye. But anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Have a good one. Stay safe. Take care. Continue the prayers for Israel. They need them. Have a good one. And as always, peace. See you Thursday.